guys, it's me, and today I will be giving you guys a mixing tutorial in FL Studio. So I got right here, I have the bass. Right here, I have my drums. And right here, I have my guitar, I guess. This can be anything. This can be your lead, this can be your chords, but I just say this will be more helpful if you're using this for chords. And then this is, of course, the bass, the lows, and then that's the drums. So this is what it sounds on mixed. It sounds pretty awful, and that's also because of the plugins and the way it's laying. The chords and stuff work and all that, and it sounds kind of basic, not very good, kind of ear hurting, and of course part of that will be the VST, but part of that is definitely the mixing, and we can fix that. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to take our guitar part, which I have right here. Let's root it to number 1, or lead it to number 1, and then we will move your bass to number 2, and we will move your drums to number 3. Now that you have your mixer out and all these labeled, so you have your guitar, your bass, and your drums, you can start mixing. So first thing I would do is I'd say put the drums up. Unless you have a super loud drum VST, I just think the drums should be one of the loudest. Bass too, but don't quite turn down the lead. Just keep it the same. If you want a very bass heavy song, of course turn up your bass. The first thing we're going to do to the bass is add your EQ. You can use whatever EQ plugin you use, but I'm just going to use Fruity Parametric EQ because most people use this. And just kind of hear it out while it's playing. So what I'd say is boost the low end and try to take out a little bit of the high end. Boost the low end and take out a little bit of the high end. Make sure it's not blaring and hurting your ears, but make sure it still has that bass. So it sounds pretty good to me. Let's go back to our guitar. See if they sound together. So our guitar is kind of getting covered up by the bass a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our guitar, and first thing we're going to do is take out the low end. Because that's for our bass to shine, and you want your bass to shine in the low end, and we took out the high end of the bass. So then here, we can boost the high end. And this sounds a little better. And depending on your VST and already how much treble it has, just change the treble to what you think sounds best and what isn't hurting your ears. So that sounds pretty good, and now let's add back to drums. The drums are really lacking right now, so what I'm going to do is I am going to add our EQ just to make it a little more crispy. We're going to boost the low end and the high end. Just kind of do all of that. Just make, like, kind of give it all around. There we go, it sounded pretty good. This drum, definitely, these drums are not intense at all, just very basic. Using the kick and the side stick, and then, like, I think this is a shaker or whatever, I don't remember what it's called, but the rim shot and the kick. But if you want to add, like, your snare, like, it pretty much is the same thing, but if it's a snare, you're going to be boosting more of a middle end if you want your snare to shine through. But if you're just doing a side stick like I am, you're going to have to boost the high end. So that's pretty crisp. Let's use it without it. Kind of not very crisp. Now here's it with it, pretty crisp. Then you can also always use your trusty sound goodenizer. But I usually think it just distorts it and it makes it louder. I don't really like using the sound goodenizer, but if that's your jam, you can definitely use it. So let's go back to our playlist. And of course, my guitar VST is sounding pretty ass, and if yours sounds pretty ass, but you don't want to change to a different one, you can add your you can add a low pass in the Fruity EQ too, but this is much easier for me for just using Destructor and using the cutoff filter, low pass filter, and just if you just want to take out a little bit of the glaring high end. But for this, I think we want high end, but this kind of makes part of it a little more wet sounding, so I'm gonna keep that. So just kind of massage the EQ to how you like it. So it's sounding pretty good. Here's what it sounded like before we did all of that. Sound like. Then we go back. But if you don't want the Destructor or the EQ, that might be more your jam if you want more of like a less interesting, messed up sounding guitar, because it almost sounds like it has a little bit of distortion. But that, for my song, that's how I want it. And if you, for your song, don't really want that sound, of course you can do it your own way, like just added the EQ. And of course I recommend, if it's not the bass and it's like a melody or chords, boost the mid and the high and try to take out the low end so the bass can shine, but also this can shine. I think that sounds pretty good. For me, that sounds good. And if you're using a lead guitar or an electric guitar, I definitely recommend using the stereo shaper. I'm going to put a stereo shaper on this guitar. I use the, let's see, the delay effect where it's a little bit. And of course my chord progression is super basic and the whole thing just sounds basic, but it really, this will apply to anything, and it will sound much better if you got a cooler sounding chords and cooler sounding bass part. But this is just to make it a little more crispy, sound a little more good. So yeah, it sounds pretty good, and if you disagree with this, let me know in the comments. Thank you.